I'm extremely excited to have with me a truly outstanding and successful entrepreneur. This is a great opportunity to hear from Rosalind, and I really want to go into that journey of how you've got to where you are now and how you've succeeded and what some of the challenges were along the way. And let's put this in context a little bit. Like all conferences we go to, most of the people up on the stage, it's just the way it turn out to be like me. They turn to be a bit too male, a bit too pale, and hopefully not too stale. So Rosalind, please, let me turn to you and just share with us some of your journey, where you started, where you came from, and let's drill into some of the challenges you faced and overcame along the way.
I'm actually from the U.S. I grew up in South Central Los Angeles during the Watts riots. So the U.S. has lots of riots now. It was probably one of the first. It took 6 days for the National Guard to put out all the fires and stop the rioting. We were the non-black family, so we were the one family that was picked on in my neighborhood. We were not Korean like the second riots, but we were the poor chinos, right? So moved out. My father was actually an illegal alien hiding in the U.S. for 40 years. He had gone on a dragon boat to hit the U.S., and my mother had left 2 daughters behind in China. So I'm the first to ever go to college, studied engineering only because I had babysat for a family that was an engineer and they had a really nice house. I'd never seen a nice house before. Moved to the Midwest, worked for P&G when I was 21. Was the first Asian that ever worked in this manufacturing plant. Everyone else looked like Steve that I managed. So I found out my first day that not only was I the first Asian, but I had 33 people looking like Steve that worked for me. And so I did not do very well at that stage. I went to Columbia B School. And after that, I was a banker for 8 years in New York, did a little bit of everything. And we were supposed to move to London, but the day that the Packers came to move us, I moved to Singapore instead. My husband was told, not London, Singapore, so we came here. So when I came here, I actually didn't know anyone, so I had more kids, because what else are you going to do when you don't know anyone? And then in 1999, I invested in a startup and launched it, and then got recruited by Bain Capital to another startup, and we launched it, pivoted like 100 times, and became a regional BPO for HR. I was commuting to KL every week for a couple years. So one weekend when I came home, I found out my daughter had epilepsy. And I didn't know because I was not living in the city. I was just coming home weekends. So I quit. That's how I quit the startup world in 2001, probably before everything busted. And put my kids to special needs school. I found out my daughter had also a learning disorder. So we put them in special needs. And then I got bored because my kids were in school. And so one of my clients was Ace Insurance. They actually came to me and said, hey, why don't you build our e-business in Asia? You can work from 9:30 till 3 to drop off your kids. So I went and worked there. And 12 weeks later, I was given a choice. Do you want to work for Bozo or do you want to run Singapore? I, of course, do not ever want to work for Bozo, because I don't respect Bozo. So I started running Singapore. 6 weeks later, I ran the region. So that's how I got into insurance. It was really accidental. I started the worksite channel, decided not to pay brokers, disintermediated 200 clients. And so the firm that I intermediated the most, Mercer and Marsh, hired me because I was the enemy from the outside. So that's how I got into brokerage. I was just taking their clients. I hated brokers, but now I was a broker. So I ran Mercer and Marsh to 14 countries for health and benefits. We grew 800% during my time there to about $1 billion in premium. The last 5 years, I actually figured out a better way to use technology. I try to convince the firm to invest in Asia and do something very differently. They never said yes. After 5 years, the CEO was pushed out, so was my boss. I left too. And so that's when I started this firm. And I actually ended up putting $5 million of my life savings into the company. I borrowed another $5 million and bought my first broker. 2 years later, we have 500 clients now. We've won most of tech. We're winning all of banking. We won the HR Vendor of the Year awards. We've opened Hong Kong. I'm about to open China. We're about to sign a partnership. I'll be expanding to 10 countries in a couple weeks. And we also have a distribution model. So everything changed. But I had to go out. I had to leave the industry in order to do this. So it's happening. And what we're about to do, we're working with a reinsurer to be able to guarantee a reduced premium if companies are able to actually improve their health score, which is comprised of the health screening, the claims, biometrics of each employee, and we're able to capture and digitize that data. So we're moving to dynamic pricing very, very soon. So we're rolling that out in January. But we'll be able to have the reinsurer backed a reduced pricing if we can get the outcomes. And so that gives each firm the business case and the ROI to actually work on disease management and wellness. And we have a partner now who will work on the chronic disease management for the cost savings. So it's huge, and every employee will have their own wallet, and they can personalize their insurance or assess their health, and they can repurpose some of their insurance money that they don't need, especially if they're married or they're young and healthy, into prevention. So that's my journey. It's a long ways from Watts, where I began.
I'm speechless. I'm exhausted, actually. That's amazing. So the latest product rollout, this idea with the wallet, yes. Let's talk a little bit more about that so that people really understand how big a change that is. I mean, I've spent a lot of my career working for clients, and the client side in a big corporation, it's often quite difficult to show a connection between what's paid for insurance and what that means for the business. So how are you explaining that to clients? Just can you put a bit of flesh around that? How does that actually work as a dynamic for the bottom line of the client company?
Yeah. So right now in Asia, for group insurance, everyone gets one size fit all insurance. So everyone gets the same thing. But what we're saying is every employee is different. So can we personalize? So we take the insurance spend. It's the group insurance spend, but sometimes they may also have a dental spend and a maternity spend, maybe something for outpatient medical. Monetize that and allow the employee to decide what to do. So they each get an amount of money. It's fixed. You can earn more money if you lose weight or you stop smoking or improve your cholesterol or you have a baby or you get married. But with that fixed wallet, we actually help each individual assess their insurance needs and their health and suggest ways to improve their health, but then they can start moving the money. What that means for a company, if you have a fixed budget per employee, is you can decide the incremental increase. in the healthcare budget and not just let an insurance company tell you that, okay, you have another doubling of your premium every 3 years. And that's what's happening in Asia. And this is why this is key for employers. Their premiums are doubling every 3 years. Why? Because chronic disease has come to Asia 10 years before the West. It's genetic, plus this is the home of the tiger mom, where everyone here thinks tiger mom's a wimp. So your kids are growing up without exercising, just studying and playing musical instruments. So there's not a history of exercising every day and playing sports. And then, of course, the hawker food and the stress from tiger mom and tiger dad and your employers, right? So chronic disease is coming 10 years earlier. Premiums are doubling every 3 years. Employers need to do something about it. We move them to defined contribution. We move every employee to personalization. And then we help them take down the root cause of why people are claiming, which is chronic disease, and we're be able to work to a lower premium. We're also look at dynamic pricing for individual voluntary products for each employee, because we have the health screening data, we've digitized the claim, we have the lifestyle habits, we have the wearable device data. So we're able to work all the correlations.
I think it's a theme that's come up several times during the conference. Is insurance bought or is insurance sold? And that whole thing of people trying to sell insurance, the sort of things you're talking about, and they can obviously be replicated in other companies and other lines. It's about making people want to engage with the insurance process. It's that mass personalization at scale, which is an overused term in tech these days. But that's what it's all about, really, isn't it? It's reaching out to that individual and giving them something that's special just for them, really.
Exactly. Once you understand all their needs and think about the data that I will have, because I am not only a broker, but I actually have the platform. So if we get the whole employee census data with their salaries, their dependents, and I understand all of their insurance needs, plus I have their health data, their browsing history, the shop, I actually have all their purchasing data because we've aggregated hundreds of vendors. And I have the wearable device data. It's completely needs-based because it's all algorithms. And it's all at the individual level. I know when employees get married, when they have kids, when they're about to leave a company. So we know when to sell portable insurance and group insurance, plus their wellness needs, and later their retirement needs. So we are e-commerce in the workplace behind single sign-on at the individual level, where we bundle group and voluntary and individual into one, and we have the data. So we can move to dynamic pricing and personalization of all services in the workplace with free money from the employer that each individual will get.
Now that's cool, but enough about the company. Let's I'd like you to sort of, looking around the audience here, we've got a real mix of people. We've got sort of, people from corporates, people who are really starting on the entrepreneurial journey. I mean, I've met several people who are sort of, discreetly passing me their this is my other business card. This is the one that I didn't sign up with this one, but this is the one that I'm going to set up soon. So if you could give one piece of advice to a budding entrepreneur with your knowledge and the journey you've been through, what would that advice be? I mean, and I want you to keep that in the time, because now seems to be the time for InsurTech. So what advice would you give now?
I would say that you have to understand what the actual pain point is for whoever your audience is. I went after employers primarily because I was running 14 countries and we had, thousands, tens of thousands of employers, so I knew their pain points. And I actually, even in my year of setting up, when I had my non-compete, I was working with the HRs in my living room to prototype exactly what they needed. So we worked with Google, Amex, and Seagate on prototyping exactly what they wanted. And so we built what the leading firms wanted to get. So unless you know what the pain point is and people are willing to pay for it, my proposition is buy your insurance through my broker and I will give you this platform for free versus another broker who will just give you the same size fit all insurance with no platform, no apps to submit your claims, nothing. So if it's for exactly the same price as buying your insurance, it's a no-brainer to do this because we will improve your employees' health and personalize and take away all of the paper. So that's the biggest thing. So understand pain points, understand how you're going to get paid, what are you going to solve, and then it will work. Otherwise, you're wasting your time.
So understand the pain points. That's pretty clear. Now, looking back on the journey you've been on, and I'm keeping this quite personal because we've done a heck of a lot of business things over the last 2 days. There's a lot of people look at being an entrepreneur as being something exciting, marvelous. I haven't got a boss. That's going to be great. Looking back, is it worth it? I mean, you touched yourself on the family dynamic of this. We all make decisions in life. We all perhaps miss opportunities in life at different times. I know I have. Is it worth it?
I think that's such a personal question. The thing about being in a startup is that you have no safety net. Once you run out of cash, you're dead. So if you can live with that, knowing, for us, I made my husband go back to work because I spent all our money. My daughter was in college. And I made her work because who's going to pay for your tuition? So unless you have nothing to lose and you know that you can live without a safety net, it's not worth it because only 1% make it to each round, right? So, do you have what it takes to make that 1%? So I think about this a lot, only because there were months where we didn't pay anyone. My family had to all go back to work. We haven't taken a vacation ever since I've lost all our money, right? Our money's gone. I haven't shopped in 3 years. So you just have to understand that it's all or nothing, right? So do you have what it takes? Are you willing to change your life? We're going to move out of our apartment soon, right? So my husband's constantly asking me to pay him back, and I have no money. You're not going to be paid back. Can you wait a few more years? I'm not going to raise money just to pay you back. So ever since I signed a personal guarantee for the loan, we had to move our real estate in the U.S. to his name. So I put a tracker in him in case he goes to his other wife and to his other family. So you have to know what you're giving up, right? We have nothing.
Okay, we've just got a few minutes left, so this is a great opportunity. I'm going to throw this open to the floor. We've got a real-life super success story here, so please, come on. There's some more questions from the floor. We can relax. It's towards the end of the conference. Who's got a question?
What was the turning point? Because obviously at one point you were completely running out of money and going broke, and everyone in your family and probably relatives had to work. So when did the curve start to pick up? When did you think, there's going to be light at the end of the tunnel?
Next year.
I'm not sure we're there yet. No, I think we just hit a tipping point. A year after I invested everything, we actually got VC funding because we won the top Fortune 100 companies. And then we got interviewed by The Economist as the big data firm. Then once we won the HR awards, more firms came. I'm about to complete a funding round now. There was a bidding war. There was a bidding war for our company. We're going to probably be valued at over 100 million, even though we just launched. So, yeah, it all changed, but I still have no money. It means the company's doing well, but I cannot shop. So whenever there's like a free dinner, I am there eating your food. I don't care who it is. Okay, so I think personally it'll change someday, I think, when we sell, but it could be a long time.
Okay, that's brilliant. Any more? Please, at the back.
One of the things I'm interested in is obviously it's a very successful business you've created. In terms of sort of barriers to entry of other people replicating your model, how much time do you think about that? And are there more or less barriers now from when you started the whole initiative to someone basically cutting your grass?
Yeah, so I think people are always trying to cut our grass. You have to have a brokerage license. In some countries, there are no more brokerage license, so you have to buy one. My mistake was buying the biggest one versus the smallest one. I should have bought the smallest one. I have found out you cannot turn an SME into a tech startup. So I spend more than half my time on the SME and like a little bit of time on the tech startup. The other barrier to entry is HR needs to know that you understand employee benefits like the back of your hand and HR. So if a tech startup comes and buys a broker, do they really understand everything about health, about data analytics, about insurance, about Workday, moving the files over? Now, if someone does have a license already, can the big brokers go and copy me? Yes, all of them have said that they will copy me. They've tried to buy me, and they have said, look, I'm going to buy you while you're cheap and small. And I tell them, I'm the owner. That is a bad line. Why would I want to sell it to you while I'm cheap and small? And so come back later, right? So the barriers are you have to have the licensing, you have to have regulatory approval, you have to build the platform, you have to know the clients, right? You have to understand everything. So I think I have like a year before someone copies me. But I think by then we'll have so many more things. And I recently just hired a ton of people from all my competitors. They made partner. I've just hired their superstars. I'll continue to do that and take away the clients from all our competitors. So
Awesome.
I've been called the source of all evil. I don't think I'm all evil, maybe the source of some evil. So, yeah, I'm used to it.
Okay, one last quick question and then we have to wrap up. Please.
Congratulations, first of all, on building what seems like a fantastic business. Hello, a cheeky question to end the conference. I guess you're helping employees have a lot more control over their lives, and you're helping the employers deliver benefit to the employees that they like. But seeing as most illnesses seem to be related to stress, are you going to get to a point where the data that you're getting from wearables and all these things basically relates back to say that their boss is killing them?
Yeah, we all need better managers, right? That's why I never work for Bozo, because Bozo stresses me out. We actually do measure mental health and stress. A lot of employers have asked us to bring mindfulness to the workplace, as well as all the health screening, as well as better engagement and leadership development. So it is the whole person, is not just the physical. So firms are doing that. And they do know that some of their managers are worse than the tiger moms, right? They're horrible bosses. That's why their employees keep leaving. So they're measuring that too.
Okay, that's great. Thanks. Let's wrap it up there. Thanks very much, Rosalind. That was excellent. Thank you.